Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Years ago, like 4 years ago, I made a video based on your suggestions for AQ3D, and I'm going to be running through some of those ideas in this video. Way back in 2018, Artix actually posted a poll where he asked what people wanted in the game or what would help them improve the game for 2018. Some of the questions included what device you use, what level you were, what your favorite thing to do in the game was, and then more in-depth things like what kind of weapons would you like to see in the game? What kind of armors should there be more of? And one question that I really liked was which of the upcoming features is more important to you? Some of the other things you can see here that weren't even in the game at this time, like pets, the daily boss fights, the daily chest rewards, being able to go to or summon your friends, and treasure chests dropping at the end of dungeons. None of these things were in the game at this time. Next question was, what Phase 3 features are you most excited about? I'm not even sure what phase we're in, but we're definitely past Phase 3, and they were guilds, houses and castles, and factions. And guilds we currently do have in the game as of now. However, it's still in its very basic state. Houses and castles, obviously we don't have the housing system yet, and they can't really do any more on guilds until the housing system is in place. And then factions is last. Now, we do have rankable factions in the game. However, there is no place to check your status in your factions. This might actually give more incentive to complete those factions. On AQ Worlds, they show what rank you are in your factions, and if you're, not capped out on them, it gives you an incentive to go back and clear that out, especially if you're a completionist. Some other questions included what already exists in the game that you want to see more of. If you could add one feature to the game, and I mean anything, that would make this game better, what would it be? Anyways, it was really neat to stumble upon this old document. Before I go any further, I will mention AE did put out another document that does ask some questions to the players. This is a player survey. However, this is a very basic survey. It basically asks you what your platform you're using, how long you play, what other games you play, who you play with, that type of thing. It's a very small survey. If it helps with the development of the game though, then it's worth filling out, so I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. Way back in 2017, I had asked people what they wanted in the game, and they left a bunch of suggestions. I sifted through the suggestions and took the most popular ones. I'm interested to see just how many of these suggestions actually made it into the game. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these suggestions were general things that were not added in the game at the time of the filming of this video. First suggestion is PvP. Now, back when this was suggested, of course, PvP was not in the game. Now it is. Next suggestion was large maps, and if you take a look at the Sand Sea Saga, that is a living example that large maps is now in the game. Make Yulgars more interesting. This was something that had been suggested because Yulgars was supposed to have a bunch of side mini games and other type of things, which it currently doesn't, so it still doesn't. Guilds. This was a big suggestion back in the day. Finally made it into the game. Now it's still in its basic stage, and like I already said, however, it will be fleshed out. Next was private lobbies. Now this still isn't in the game. You can't have just a private lobby with your friends. However, you do have private instances in dungeons, so that's kind of close. Trading, that is a big one, and to this day that is something that a lot of people ask for, still not implemented, and when or if it ever is, it's still going to be quite a ways away. More badges. This is something that was asked for, and this definitely came because we have tons of titles and stuff that you can get, as well as a lot of exploratory badges on your character page. Another suggestion was to have multiple characters on one account. So instead of just having one character for your email, you could have multiple characters. Now, I don't think this is ever going to exist, but who knows? Another suggestion was to have more ranged classes. Now, at this time, we only had Pirate. I don't even know if we had Pirate, actually, but we had Mage anyways, and that was pretty much it. Mage and maybe Pirate. So now we have Healer, and we have Necromancer, and ranger, so there's a lot more range classes, so that one did make it in. More free-to-play travel forms, and this definitely made it into the game. An Emotes button, that is hilarious because we do have that in the game now, but back in the day, filming of this video, you had to type in the emote command in order to do the emote. Less reskins. Now, unfortunately, this is still in the game now, and of course, in a lot of 3D MMOs, reskinning is very popular. They take the same model and they reskin it. I don't think AQ3D is ever going to be leaving reskins behind. However, they do come out with different models as well. So it's not just reskins. Before, back in the day, there was a lot of reskins. I don't think there's as many now. Non-combat skills. Now this actually made it into the game. We do have a fishing non-combat skill. Mining is going to be coming soon, and there's going to be other ones like lumberjack and whatnot. Now, some people really enjoy the fishing aspect, other people really hate it, and I think there's one issue with it that I currently have, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree. It's not the fishing mechanic that I have a problem with at all. In fact, I enjoy that. It's the downtime between the fishing. When you throw your fish pole into the water and then you're waiting for that extended amount of time before the little mini game begins. Even at my maxed out fishing level, I still have to throw the thing in and then stand around and wait for the thing to happen. It's just too slow, and I think what they should do is at least cut the time in half. So instead of having to wait the 1500 seconds that I'm waiting, I only have to wait 5 seconds. I think that would speed things up with the fishing so that it would be more enjoyable for everybody. Next suggestion was to have a gender change, and we do have that in the game right now. You can do that through the barbershop. Pets, that was the next big suggestion. Now, I mean, that was going to be coming to the game anyways, and like I said, a lot of these suggestions were general suggestions that were going to be coming to the game regardless. More monster drops. Now, this is something way back in the day, there was very few monster drops, and in fact, even now, there's still not anywhere near the amount of monster drops that there are in games like AQ Worlds, so it would be nice to see even more monster drops. More boss fights with good loot. Now, I think they did do this. I would have to say that this is in the game now. Next suggestion was auto loot. Now, we don't really have that, but we do have a system where you can just grab all the loot, so I think that's about as close as you're going to get. Next suggestion was to have a Legion faction in the game. Now, we do have Legion stuff in the game, but not a faction. Another suggestion was to keep the party together. So when you were in a dungeon with other people and you're running the dungeon, they did not have a party dungeon back in this day. They only had the public dungeon. So when you ran a dungeon, you were in a party with the people in that dungeon. The minute you left that dungeon, you were out of the party. That, of course, has been changed. Now you can keep your party. AFK Animation. Now, we don't have an AFK animation exactly, but we do have an AFK toggle so you know when people are AFK. Swapable skills via a skill tree. Now, this is never going to come into the game. However, we do have the cross skills where you can swap out skills, and in PvP, you do have PvP skills that you can, or abilities that you can swap out. So this is kind of as close as we're going to get to swappable skills. Dual wielding. Now, we do have this in the game, so check mark. Next suggestion was mounts. Now, this we do not have in the game, nor will we ever have this in the game, but we do have things similar to it, so travel forms are as close as we're going to get. Subclasses. Now, we technically have this because Berserker is a subclass. Acolyte, which is going to be coming, will be a healer subclass, and then of course we have the Assassin, which will be, what was that, like a rogue or a ranger? I think it was a ranger subclass, so we do have those technically. Daily quests. This is now in the game. Next suggestion, login reward. Now, we do have that via the daily treasure chest, but of course way back then we didn't have that. Weekly or monthly quest for Guardians. Now, we don't have that. However, we do have daily quests that are exclusive to Guardian. Next suggestion was to have a Frostville present with random reward, and I'm not exactly sure how that would be implemented. Interesting idea. It was supposed to be based through some kind of a quest that you'd complete this quest, get a Frostville present, and then get a random reward. It'd be an interesting idea, but I don't see that actually happening. difficult quests or difficult items to get. Now, we do actually have that in the game, as there are some very difficult quests or some very difficult items to obtain. Next suggestion that we still don't have is being able to organize your bank and inventory. Now, yes, you can sort your bank in a sense by putting items where you want, but you can't literally sort your items. You can't put all of your one set together. They just kind of go based on when you obtained them. So being able to actually organize your bank or your inventory would be awesome. Being able to view your bank items. This was not possible back in the day, now it is. Next suggestion was travel forms and pots not being in the inventory. Now, the potions are still in the inventory, however, travel forms no longer take up inventory space, nor do pets. Next suggestion was an armor set box. Now, this would be putting all of one armor set into a box to save space in your inventory. I'm not sure if this is something that they could do, but that is still an awesome suggestion. Next suggestion was houses. Now, of course, this was something everybody's been asking for, and it's still not in the game. Until housing comes, they can't really do any more with the guild stuff, so this is something I really hope they push for. Being able to store items in your personal house. This is kind of connected to the whole housing feature, and hopefully maybe something like this would be possible. Having invisible helm and shoulder items that cost gold, not DC. Now, at this time, we did not have any invisible items. Now we do. So there we go. Those were the suggestions for AQ3D back in 2017. I'm going to be making another video for 2021 with AQ3D suggestions. If you have any suggestions, I do have a channel in the AE Federation Discord server called Ideas for AQ3D, and you can post your ideas in that channel. I'll be going through all the suggestions and pulling out some of them for the video. But that is it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and keep those swords swinging.